Hello and welcome everyone to this week's Stellar Developer Meeting. We are finally back again after Meridian and lots of hackathons and activities. But it's great to be back. And with us today, we have Steve from OpenZeppelin. OpenZeppelin, you have probably heard about it. Maybe you've even tried some of their tooling, but they're building some really great tooling that's compatible with Stellar and built for Stellar. So I'm really excited to see a demo of the latest tool that developed that runs on Stellar, the UI builder. So Steve, yeah, maybe just introduce yourself really briefly, and then yeah, we can jump into the demo.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's nice to be here and to be with you all here today. So again, my name's Steve. I am doing developer relations with OpenZeppelin, and so I handle a lot of things anywhere from documentation or interacting with a lot of our ecosystem communities, and showing you guys how some of this stuff works. And yeah, I think it's going to be really fun.
Okay, I'll share the screen here. Maybe you can zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, I think I can do that. And my screen is a little big. There we go. I think that should be good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
does
great.
that look better?
Yeah, that was
Awesome.
good.
Sweet. Awesome. Yeah. Well, like I said, today we're going to be showing off the OpenZeppelin UI Builder. Essentially, this is a tool you can use to interact with contracts that you have on either Stellar Mainnet or Stellar Testnet. But it actually goes a little bit further than that. It's honestly like a React component library, like a UI library. And so once you've created these forms or got the basics going, you can actually download it as an entire app, or you can install the library as a package and build these UI elements yourself. And it just takes a lot of that weight off of you when you're trying to build interactive elements, with your contracts. So today I'll just go ahead and show you what it looks like. You can visit this today. It's live at builder.openzeppelin.com, and you'll be landed in this, new contract UI screen. And all you have to do is just go ahead and select the Stellar tab, and then you can select Stellar Testnet or Mainnet. So I'm going to click Testnet right now. And from here, we just go ahead and paste in a contract ID. It does work with both WASM and Stellar Asset contracts. The main difference is these will pull directly from source, but these, since they're not, all the API and things like that are not with source, will actually pull that from GitHub directly. But both of them work, so you'll have no problem there. But we'll go ahead and pull this one in. And right away, you'll see that we go ahead and pull in a whole bunch of stuff. First, we pull in the contract state here. So this is the current state of the contract. This is kind of like we call it our kitchen sink contract that has all sorts of variables and functions just to test a lot of different, possible interactions. And we're pulling that directly from stellar.expert. Really cool. And so from here, we can go ahead and click next. And this is where we start to decide or build out our form. And the first thing you want to do is select a function. What do you want to build a form for? What piece do you want to interact with? And there's a whole bunch of different stuff. I'm going to select something pretty simple, just a set text right here. So I just hit select here. And from here, I can start to kind of customize this. So I can say like set greeting. I can change the description, things like that. From there, I can go into the fields and have like field labels. I could do field types, and if we needed email or input, there's like a whole bunch of different types here. So I'm going to say we'll just call this greeting, and say placeholder hello. And there's a whole lot of stuff you can do, like required fields. You can hide from the UI, use hard-coded values. It's very customizable. And so once we have that, I'll go ahead and do an execution method. So from here, we can decide if we want to allow any wallet to connect with this and start using it, or if we want to require like specific account to interact with it. We also have the option to do OpenZeppelin relayers. If you haven't checked out relayers, I would highly recommend you do. You can check them out at docs.openzeppelin.com/relayer. And essentially, they're managed services, kind of like a backend server that can relay transactions for you and can automate certain things. And you can do things like gasless transactions. It has full Stellar network support. So it's really, really cool stuff. Would highly recommend checking it out. But for now, we'll just stick with like a standard account. And then from there, we have a UI kit. So you can basically choose which wallet kit you want to be included. So right now, I have just the built by OpenZeppelin standard one. It's kind of like a very minimal, nothing really fancy. So I can see my accounts connected here. I could disconnect. But if you wanted to, you could also use the Stellar Wallets kit. And so you'll have, a different experience. You can kind of customize that and choose which one you like. I'll just go ahead and switch to OpenZeppelins. And once we have everything ready, I can either just go ahead and hit next, or at any point when I'm in this, building phase, I can hit preview form to view it and test it out, and then go back to building it. So once we have it set, I could actually go ahead and give this a shot here. So I can say hello world or something like that. Go ahead and do execute. And that's just going to have me sign that transaction. And there we go, it's successful. And what's really cool is that we can just hit this refresh button here. And you can see we have our hello world that's been updated in our contract state, which is really cool. And from here, we can go ahead and export this if we want to. This is going to export it as a zip folder. And once you unzip it, it's going to be a React project. And you could just install the dependencies, build, and then you basically have a app ready to go. Now, that's only half of it because that's like a really simple one form piece there. If you wanted to, you can even go to our GitHub here, which is OpenZeppelin/UI-builder. And from here, you can actually download package dependencies and you could build these and use them in your app yourself, the components themselves. So there's a lot there. And just to show you too, some of the other things that the UI builder has to offer is once we created this UI, we can see it here under our contract UIs here. And so as you build these forms, and let's say you're doing multiple different tests or multiple different forms, they're all stored in your browser as local storage. And you can actually click on them here. So here's a different one that's a much more complex form where I can put in an account address, I can put an account label, key values. There's a whole lot of stuff you can put here. And so these are all kind of stored. And if I wanted to, I could click on the three dots here to rename, duplicate, export. And all of this is basically just basic JSON data. So at any point, I can actually export all of my current UIs into a JSON file right here. And so from there, I could import it. And if I ever needed to bring it back or something like that, it's all dated. Just click import and it brings in those forms that I just had. And so we can just go ahead and delete those. And yeah, that is the basics of the UI builder. And again, I think it works really great if you're working with our wizard and you're like maybe putting together a contract, maybe you've deployed it. From here, you can just paste in that address, interact with it, and test it out. Or if you wanted to build your own web app that has those UIs built in. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Great. If there's anyone that has any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments. I think this was a really interesting demo. Are there any limitations or anything I should know as a developer? Um, if what would be the common use case? Is it someone who's playing around with the UI and they can drop it into their own UI as a component, or what is what is a typical use case, you would say?
Yeah, I think there's actually a lot of great use cases for it. One of them, like you said, is if you're just playing around and you want to test around or try out a contract, it gives it a really easy interface to start using it. But we've seen some other people as well where like it could be used in a team application, like for instance, to help manage liquidity pools or build more complex forms that might be used internally. There's all sorts of things I think you can do. But I think, for people who are just starting out, just wanting to build and get experience, I think it's great for that use case personally.
Yeah, I can definitely see it. Developers in like early in the developer journey, if you build a smart contract, it sometimes it can be a little bit complicated if you're completely new to Stellar to use the CLI to invoke the contract and get all the formatting correct in the invoke command, and definitely makes it a lot easier to be able to quickly spin up a UI and interact with your smart contract and test things out.
Yeah,
But you said
absolutely.
it was built in React.
Yeah, yep. It's all basic React UI components. I think we use ShadCN UI components under the hood as well. So I think we have a lot of visions too about what that might look like in the future and how you might be able to import them into your existing app or something like that. They are packages that you can install to an existing React app and just start building right away if you'd like to, which is really cool.
Yeah, it definitely makes it easy to drop it into if you're building a React application, then drop in the forms to interact with the smart contracts.
Mhm.
I think personally, I think we'll see a lot of use of this in hackathons, where you have
Mm.
limited time to accomplish something.
Yep.
It looks very easy. I had a chance to play with it yesterday, and it was just in a matter of minutes. I had a front end for my smart contract. So
Yeah.
really,
That's awesome.
really great experience. I see we have a question here. I see it as a good starting point for building dApps for your customers to interact with your contracts. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hmm.
I even see it. I even see it sometimes. I do in my role as a DevRel, as you know from yourself, we get to play around with a lot of new stuff,
Sure do.
and a lot of time just for the convenience of it. I think this could be a great way for me to test out some new features in smart contracts, and when we roll out something new, and I like to be testing things early on, but I don't necessarily want to build a whole dApp around it. So I think this has some great opportunities for both people who are playing around, who's experimenting, but also building the dApps, because they can drop in the components in their Next.js or their React application.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Then there's a question, does it support the new release of React, which includes a compiler? Demonstrated a few days ago at the React Summit.
Let me see. I think as of right now, we might be using React 19, so probably close. I'd have to double check if we can actually get to using React compiler, but um, yeah, I'd be interested to try and see if that does work. I know that's still pretty new.
Yeah, great. Any other questions? In the meanwhile, I will say, you mentioned Relay. I think
Relays, yeah.
we are
Mhm.
going to do a presentation about that in about 2 weeks.
Oh, excellent.
I don't think it's on next Thursday, but I think it's in 2 weeks, if I remember correctly. But we are definitely going to do a developer meeting around the Relay and have a demonstration of that. So I'm looking forward
Awesome.
to that as well.
Yeah, don't miss that. That stuff is pretty sweet. Very helpful.
Can you maybe just talk a little bit about what Relay
Oh,
is?
sure. Yeah, it's essentially like it's like a Rust backend. So it's written in Rust. It's very nice, fast, it's efficient, and uh, it's very easy to set up, in my opinion. You basically clone the repo. There's like a build command or a setup command you run, and it creates like a single binary which you can run, in most environments. And it'll basically create like a API interface for smart contract interactions. So you can basically set up accounts, or they're called relayers, and they can maybe have different addresses, different permissions, different. You can load them up with different balances, etc. And so from there, you can kind of make permissioned or particularly granted access for particular tasks. And so there's a lot you can do with it. I think a lot of the people have used them for like gasless transactions. You can send an API request asking to do something, the relayer will take care of it, and then on your actual user interface app, you never had to have a user pay for gas or things like that. Um, but yeah, it can really build a lot of that. And I think there's also, when you use them with monitors, that's the other half of the equation there. Monitors allow you to listen to smart contract events or functions or anything happen to you. They're very flexible. And the really power comes in is like you can monitor one thing on your contract and then as a reaction use something on your relayer. So that could be something like if somebody withdraws way too much out of a contract or it's an alarming amount of money, you can maybe pause the contract, or you can stop certain things, you can react to things. It's kind of built as both a security setup as well as just a ease of life setup to for building apps and stuff.
Okay, great. It doesn't seem like we have any more questions, so I would just thank you for the demo. It was super
Yeah, no
interesting
problem.
to see how easy it is to set up a front end and create front end components for a smart contract.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
this kind of tooling where it's uh, it's making life a lot easier. You get something up and running quicker, and one of the things that I always love about using tooling like this is that it's gone through a lot of testing. It's gone
Mhm.
typically it's gone through some auditing as well. So you get a really solid starting point for your project, instead of trying to build
Absolutely.
everything yourself. So thank you so much, and
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
we'll
welcome.
be back next week with another great demo. And just a reminder for everyone joining here, at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, we have a protocol meeting on Discord. So see you all there, and thank you again, Steve.
Thank you, Karsten. Yeah, it's
See you
great to be
next week.
here. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.